What is going on, everyone? Batcher here. Sure to like and sub, and let's get into this. One of the prevailing sentiments from, you could sort of see it in 2016, but really from 2018 and onward was the creatives that were not just making the movies and TV shows and video games, but all the beloved properties. They all had one thing in common. And this goes from video games to comics to everything. They fucking hate you. Pure and simple. They hate and resent you. And here's the fun part. They hate and resent almost all of the source material of the franchises that they're taking over. This is why we saw Wheel of Time change and The Witcher change and all the things changed, because the people who didn't like it to begin with and didn't like the people that liked it to begin with, but they know it's popular, come in, subvert it, and then have the gall and audacity to attack you further for not liking the shit that they messed up to begin with and didn't like it to start. And thankfully now we're seeing people with a little bit of clout and in the know, because we can do it all day long. We need people in these industries to come out and be like, oh yeah, they hate you. They hate you. This was done on purpose. This was done because of this. And we are starting to see that now. Truth and reconciliation is the theme of at least the beginning or the end of this year, I think. So here you go. Former DC Comics editor is coming out, dropping all the dimes. Now, first, we must give some examples. Of course, there is the Kelly Sudiconics, who my dear friend Nerd Wars introduced me to. Obviously, we play her clip all the time. If you don't like my politics, don't buy my book. And then a couple months later, there's clips of her talking about how horrible the implosion of the comic book industry is, because shockingly, people listened. It's the same thing. If you don't like my politics, don't watch my show or don't watch my movie. We haven't. The losses have been staggering, and the outrage is going up as their failures go up. So they just get more and more upset. You can see here Tom Brevoort, who runs an X-Men line, said it. First off, I think the ill-defined accusation of being woke is weaponized ideology. There you go. Very defined for you. It's nonsense, and I tend to turn it off and tune out when it comes up in almost any context, because you can't defend it in an actual conversation, which is why they like to alienate you as the other monster Nazi demon. So because you can't have conversations with Nazi demons, yeah, it's just a way to stop conversation and discourse. The people who are using it and who brandish it like a sword to attack whatever they don't like tend to be, well, mostly cretins. It's funny because what I think about you. Dan Slott, of course, famous for hating fans. It says, Dan Slott blocked me because I disagree with him politely, and then he responded and blocked me before I could respond. This is another reason comics nowadays are crazy. I like Dan. I just disagreed on one thing. There's no such, and he's ranting, of course, about Afghanistan and politics. And you get it. You can't have conversations. Now, we know this, but this is where along comes someone who does know what's going on, and that is where you get Valerie D'Orazio. So she says, when I worked in the comic industry, particularly at DC, and then just hanging around creative editor media folks for the next decade, there was definitely a sentiment among some people. Yeah, and I'm not saying it's all of them, because a lot of people are just going along to get along, whatever the fuck the term is. Like, they're just trying not to get fired. But there's definitely a substantial portion in all of these industries that absolutely hate and resent us and the properties that we like. And they're only there because they're popular. They're popular. No one cares about their products. Traditional fans, sentiment among some people that traditional fans were embarrassing and that they only wanted slop. And the only way to save the industry was to put out high-class comics, to essentially make most comics Vertigo type and get rid of the overgrown nerds. The overgrown nerds which put your kids through college and pay for all of your shit, and pay for all your passion projects, pay for all your failed comics as long as you put out the good ones we're asking. They're not slop, by the way. Thank you. We don't want their money. Right there. We don't want their money. I don't want them buying my book. And that is the same damn mentality of I don't want them watching my movie. I don't want them watching my show. The Jessica Gowes of She-Hulk that hate you and did it just out of spite and not for any sort of love. And that's how the comic industry almost fucking, not almost, I mean, it's basically dead. The only reason it's alive at all is because of the independent sphere and then some of those. But even like a Spider-Man barely sells. Superman, Batman, all of them barely, nothing. nothing. And she just finishes out her elaboration right here saying, it's that sort of thing where they're wishing the books don't sell, but then the industry will shrink and collapse. And now there's few paying jobs for the industry people we know. And most of them have left and gone to the independent sphere. Anyway, this is how the Eric Julys are able to get people like Graham Nolan and Chuck Dixon and so on and so forth. And they pay better too, because there's not all this middleman stuff that these legacy comic people have. Oh boy. Either way, just more proof, just more evidence. A substantial portion in all of these groups hate you, and they hate the shit that they're working on. And then they have the audacity to get upset at you for not just accepting it. Let me know what you think about all this. Shout out to Fandom Pulse for that exclusive. Either way, make sure to like, share, and sub. If you have done that, thank you. If you're going to do that, thank you.
Well, bye.